Okay, thank you very much. My name is Dana Camoli. John, can you raise your hand, please? So I'm the classroom lead. On Monday, I'll be in the classroom. I'm also a certified driving instructor with a bunch of organizations. And for those of you who are PCA members, I'm the guy who sends you the Monday and Thursday emails every week. And John is our chief driving instructor. He's also been president of the club. He's an IMSA race license holder. He's raced in the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12, and the GT class, like a GT3 Cup kind of car. And if you've ever had anything to do with safety equipment for cars, you probably have met him because he owns North Star Motorsports. And he'll be there on Monday as well. So for those of you who haven't been in a class like this is how we run them. Stay muted unless you're asking a question. Keep your video on. That way I can see if you're falling asleep. If you've got a question, use the reaction, raise your hand. That causes you to pop to the top of the list of attendees that I see. And that way I can call on you. Lower your hand once you've been called on. Another option is to dump it into the chat window. I'll pay attention to that as well. If you throw something into the chat window, it might take me a little bit to get to it. Sometimes I'm not paying attention to that, but trust me, I'll get to all of your questions. Okay. So goals of the event, to bring you and your car home in one piece, learn new skills, have fun, gain an appreciation of what it takes to drive around a racetrack. Just out of curiosity, how many of you guys are on right now have never driven on a racetrack? Is this like all of you? Most of you? Most of you. Okay. So yeah, it's not like driving on the street. Get a glimpse of what your car can do. Trust me, it doesn't matter what car you're driving. It's better than you are. And last but not least, go fast. So that's not going to be the focus of Monday. I mean, you will go fast, definitely, but that's not going to be the focus. So the first thing is come prepared. Make sure you've electronically signed the standard waiver. I've sent out notes to people who haven't done it. I honestly don't know if any of you guys haven't done it yet. Make sure you've done that prior to arrival. It makes registration go a lot easier for everybody. Bring your driver's license. If you're a PCA member, bring that. Also, credit card and cash. Lunch is going to be on you. They take cash or credit card, but bring it. Also, make sure you fill your gas tank before you get to the track. I don't mean fill your gas tank before you leave your house. I mean, fill your gas tank before you get to the track. Driving on a racetrack uses a stunning amount of gasoline. And they do have gas at the track. It's usually a lot more expensive than it is not at the track. So it's always nice to, top off your tank before you get there. That way you don't have to mess around later in the day. Car numbers, you're going to have to put car numbers on the hood and the doors in your confirmations, and you'll get more email from me, at least 2 more emails from me. Your car number will be on it if I've assigned them to you, if you don't have permanent car numbers here in the region. They have to be 8 inches high on both sides and a 1-inch stroke. You can use tape. We're perfectly fine with you using, painter's tape. When we say contrasting colors, that means that if you have a blue car, blue painter's tape is not a contrasting color. We will make you change it. So use white tape or yellow tape or something. And blue on black doesn't work very well either. This may sound goofy, but trust me, you'll see multiple copies of that problem on Monday. A tarp to put things on. Grass is wet in the morning. Autobahn's paddock is primarily a parking lot, but they do have areas, if you prefer to not park in a parking lot and be on the grass, you can do that. If you take the stuff out of your car and put it on the grass is going to be wet, so I would bring a tarp. I would bring like a 33-gallon garbage bag, because you're going to have to take your floor mats, basically everything out of the car. It's easy to just put everything in in the garbage bag. That way you don't lose it. Uh, Question. Instead of the hood that said the upper windshield at 4 inches, that's also allowable, but you still need them on the doors. So like if you look there, that's my car. And if you look right in the upper left, right-hand corner, you can see that there are little red numbers there. So yes, you can do that. That's completely legit. A simple toolkit and tire pressure gauge is recommended, but optional. Your instructor will have, or will certainly have, access to pressure gauges. Tire pressures will be something we'll talk about on Monday morning. Trust me, they are a factor when you're driving on a track. A small cooler, drinks and snacks are definitely a good idea. It's amazing how much liquid you will burn through. It's not supposed to be particularly hot on Monday, but if you don't drink stuff, you will get dehydrated. We'll have coolers with water in it in a couple of places at the track, but you might want to have your own. Also, something to sit on. It's going to be sunny, I think, so maybe a sun umbrella, certainly sunscreen. In terms of clothing, you must wear long pants and you must wear long sleeve shirts when you're driving. My suggestion is like jeans and a cotton kind of shirt. Synthetics, if something truly awful happens and your car starts on fire, synthetics will melt on your skin, which is really very painful. And cotton won't do that kind of thing. So cotton, long sleeve shirts, and long pants. Closed shoes like sneakers are fine. You don't have to go out and buy a $2,000 driving suit. That would be a bad idea for your first event. Just complete waste. You don't need driving gloves. If you don't have a helmet, don't worry. You can rent them at the track. Bear with me a second. I need to see the participants list. Okay. Yeah, somebody just joined. So anyway, if you need a helmet, you can rent one at the track. They're pretty cheap. They'll just take your driver's license, and then you'll have to give them your driver's license. They'll give you your driver's license back at the end of the day when you give them their helmet. These events are rain or shine. I believe the last time I checked, there's like 0 chance it's going to rain on Monday. It seems like it's going to actually be quite beautiful. So most of you, unless you live right near Autobahn, will probably be coming in on Route 80 in some direction. The closest gas station is about 9 minutes from Autobahn. It's right off, what is that, Route 50? Right off of the exit from Route 80. It's like a truck stop kind of place, and you could fill up gas and go there. Like I said, they do have gas at the track. I don't know what the current price is, but it's usually higher than outside and sometimes substantially higher. And yes, this is a DE that we did a couple of years ago. It was raining hard. As you can see, we did it anyway. Okay, when you come in to Autobahn, you'll be coming on this road called Center Point Way. If you're coming from the north, you'll turn right, and on the right, you'll see this building. If you're coming from the south, you'll turn left, and you go to the right. That's this parking lot here, and you'll see this building. This is registration. Park in this lot. The registration will be these windows. You won't be going inside. You'll register at these windows here. Line up and wait your turn. You're going to be required to sign the Autobahn event waiver as well. You're going to have to present a valid driver's license at registration, and you'll get a wristband that goes on your left wrist that it indicates your role, whether you're a driver or an instructor or a guest. You can bring guests, that's okay. You will not be able to give them a ride, and they will not be able to ride in a car on the track, but they're certainly welcome to be here. And if you're bringing any minors, they'll have to sign an extra waiver. Well, everybody will have to sign waivers, but we have yet another waiver just for minors as well. Once you finish registration, which is right here, you'll go through, there's a gate. You'll go down. The paddock speed is 15 miles an hour. Don't break that speed limit. There's a roundabout. You'll go around halfway and then keep going straight, and you'll park in here where the yellow is. Don't park down by the building that you see all the way down. That's the members parking area. For those of you who don't know, Autobahn is a country club. We borrow or rent the place from the members. This section down here is reserved for their parking. So park between the two buildings. You'll see, like, if you're not the first one there, you're going to see where people are parking. Just park, like I said, where the yellow is. Try to maintain like 10 feet between cars, that because there's going to be plenty of room. That way you have your own spot. You could probably take all the stuff out of your car, and you know, people won't be running over each people's stuff. Once you get to your parking space, get to your car, place all the stuff in front of your car before going to tech. That means iPass, phone, floor mats, everything. Golf balls rolling around on the floor, really bad idea on the racetrack. So everything out, make sure that your numbers are already on the car. Take your completed tech sheet and put it under the windshield wiper on the driver's side, and then go to tech. Tech is this building if you're looking. So when you're coming in, it's the building on the left, and it looks like this. One or both of these doors will be open. Just go to whichever. If they're both open, go to the one with the shortest line. If there's only one, then go to only that one. Line up in the appropriate side, answer the tech inspector's questions, and do whatever they tell you to do. Once you've passed tech, they're going to put a run group sticker on the upper center of your windshield that will tell the starters that you have passed tech and what run group you're supposed to be in. So most of you, I'm going to assume, are going to be in run group 4. So if they call run group 2 and you go out, they're going to know that, no, you don't belong here, and they're going to turn you away. So you're only going to be able to drive in the run group that the number on the front of your car is. And that, like I said, that'll be on your windshield. Then go back to your parking space and get to know people around you. Okay? Other tech considerations. If you have an iPhone 14 or later, or an Android 12 or later, turn off crash notification. What will happen is, if that is on and that phone is in your car, there's a reasonable chance that on a racetrack, it will decide that you're in a crash, and it will call the first responders. And when they come, we're going to have to shut down the track, convince them that there wasn't an accident, and then they're going to send you a bill, because we're not going to pay it, you are. So my suggestion is to turn it off and leave your phone in the paddock. Don't put it in your pocket when you're on the racetrack. Truly a bad idea. Also, if your car happens to have lane change, braking notification, automatic steering, any of that stuff, you have to be able to turn it off. You have to be able to demonstrate to the tech people you know how to turn it off. And you're going to have to turn it off every session. Your instructor will make sure that you turn it off every session, because having the car decide what to do on a racetrack is a really, really bad idea, because it doesn't know you're on a racetrack. It thinks you're on a regular street, and it's going to make decisions that aren't going to be appropriate. So make sure it's turned off. And if you can't turn it off, then this sport isn't for you and your car, because we won't let it on the track. Okay. The drivers' meeting is normally held, this is the back side of the tech building. So we go back to here. This is right here. I might do the driver's meeting in the classroom, which is through that door. It just depends on if it's a little chilly, I'll do it inside. If it's not chilly, I'll do it outside. It really kind of depends. So the driver's meeting, attendance is mandatory. We have ways of knowing that you have been. If you don't go, you're not going to drive. So if you don't go and you pull up to the starting line, we'll know that you didn't go, and the starter is going to say, yeah, no, you're done. So then you'll have to go find me and convince me that I should let you drive. What we'll do is we'll go over the event rules. We'll go over the passing zones and passing rules. We'll go over the flags. There might be, like, even if any of you have been to Autobahn before, there might be specific things for Monday because they may be doing something different. Anything that's day specific will be covered. John will make sure that you and your instructor have been hooked up together if you have one. And like I said, if you don't attend, you will not drive. The classroom, which is this door, that's going to be, when you go through that door, go in and go to the left. That's the classroom. The bathrooms are through that door and to the right. If you're a novice driver, in other words, if you're in the green run group, attendance is mandatory. In the morning, we'll be continuing what we're doing this evening. And in the afternoon, after you've been around the track a few times, we'll talk about specific issues you might have at any of the corners. Trust me, you'll have issues at certain corners. Autobahn Full Track has 19 corners. It's quite a bit for a newer driver. And I may get some feedback from corner workers. And all I will say is car number XYZ is constantly doing X. I won't call out names. I don't care. I just care about car numbers. But anyway, we'll go through stuff like that in the afternoon. So there's 2 sessions. They're on the schedule. We'll go over the schedule later in this, and also the schedule will be sent out certainly tomorrow or Friday at the latest. Okay, that's sort of the precursor of, where the bathroom is, etc. Anybody have any questions on any of that? Okay, great. Excuse me. So, all right. Safety is the number one thing that we care about. This can be dangerous. Where do you rent the helmets? They will be out during the driver's meeting. So it'll be very obvious. This hobby is dangerous. Bad things can happen, and often it's not under your control. So someone else could make a mistake and you're the one who gets affected by it. So safety is the top thing. Listen to your instructor. They're not driving, you are, but they have done this a lot and they can anticipate things better than you can. So if they tell you to do something, do it like right now and don't question. In the car, the instructor is, a better way to put it is the pilot in command. You're driving and you're driving, but they're going to tell you what to do. Listen to them. The big goal, I want the instructors to be smiling. I mean, I want you to be smiling, but I want the instructors to be smiling too. I don't want them unhappy. You don't want them unhappy. Okay, many, if not most of our instructors use something called a communicator. It's a wired device that allows the 2 of you to communicate within the car without yelling. So you have a headset that has an earpiece and a microphone boom. Those are really nice. However, sometimes the instructor doesn't have one, or the batteries fail, or the device fails. So we have a set of standard hand signals that your instructor will use in that situation. So I'm just going to go over them. And oh, by the way, I will save these slides as a PDF and I'll shoot a copy to you guys after it'll probably go out tomorrow morning. So you'll have these too. So they're going to be using their left hand for all of these things. That way you can see it. If they go like this, well, if they go like this, that's apply the brakes. And if they go like that, quickly, that means hard on the brakes. So you can translate how they're doing it to how you should be applying the brakes. If they go like that, that means they want you to accelerate. Okay. If they pretend they're steering, that's what they want you to do. Okay. They want you to put in more steering input or less in steering input. They often will point, like if you're making a right-hand turn and you've made the turn, they're probably going to point to the left because they're going to want you to track out to the outside edge. You probably don't know what I just said, but we'll go over that in a minute. So they're going to point where they want you to go with the car. If they go like that, they just want you to keep going straight. Any questions on those? They're very straightforward. There's only a couple of them. And like I said, most of our instructors will have headsets on. So it's just, you'll be able to talk normal voice. You won't have to scream and stuff like that. Okay, this is the full track. If you remember the sky view from Google Maps, this is where we come in. This is where we're parking. The entrance to the track is here, and we go around this way. So this is a pretty complicated track. We'll see it in more detail in a bit. For newer drivers, it can be a little confusing because a bunch of the turns look very similar from on the track. So pay attention, and it's because it's a long track. Every session's going to be, maybe 6, 7 laps, maybe 8 at the most. So it takes a calendar while to really learn this track. You're not going to be an expert at the end of Monday. Just if you have that expectation needs to go away because it won't happen. You will be comfortable going around it. You will not be an expert by any stretch. Okay. So entering and exiting the track, this close-up is right over here. So the paddock where you're parking is down here in the corner. Race control, we go back to this. Race control is in this building here. So getting on and off the track is right here. Okay, everybody got that? Good. Okay. So you enter the track to the right of race control. So you're coming down and you're going to go in here. Stop before entering the track surface. Make sure your belts, helmet, if you've got gloves, those are on. Be ready and look to the right because the exit is over here and they come around and go like that. Cars may actually be coming from the right. We don't want you to just blindly jump out here because you may hit them or they may hit you. Then proceed to what's called the hot pit. I'm going to show you an example of doing this in a second. You'll come into here and stop. Stay on the right side and wait for the starter to let you go. When the starter lets you go out. Excuse me. Don't cross the blend line. Stay to the left. So the blend line is going to be on your right. You're going to stay to the left of the blend line. I'll show you what that is momentarily. You stay to the left of it all the way to turn 1 because the track could be hot when you're going on. There could be cars coming down here well in excess of 100 miles an hour. And if you swing out, you may get hit. And at 100 miles an hour, bad things very definitely will happen. And then when you exit the track, you stick your fist out of the window and up over the out driver's side, and you get out here and you come around. We'll show you examples of all that in just a second. So from a Google Maps view, here's that building. This is the paddock area. Cars will be parked in here. This is a fire lane. So you go in, you turn left, you stop, you look, because cars could be coming down here. You then turn left and you line up here, and the starter station is right here, and you stop until they tell you what to do. So here's an example of that actually happening. Okay, so that's getting on the track. Anybody need to see that again? Didn't think so. Then getting on, you go down this white line here. That's what the blend line is. So you need to stay to the left of that. You go down, and this is turn one. You go to the left. So the blend line ends here. They do that because lines on pavement are really slippery when they're wet. So if they ran it all the way down here, you're driving in the rain, you get down onto that and your car would wiggle all over the place. So they cut it off. You just pretend that line goes all the way and you stay to the left. Oops. Exiting the track, you come down. This is turn 18. You stay to the left, around, down. There'll be cones here. Turn left, make an immediate right, and then you're down into the paddock area. Let me see. I thought, no, I guess we didn't. Okay, so this is exiting the track. Whoops. So the exit's right here. And there's cones. You stay to the left of the cones, and then you make a hard left, and then a hard right. And this is the paddock area out here. Okay. Parking after your session. When you go back to your spot, if you're driving a manual transmission car, slowly pull up to your spot in first gear, push in the clutch and shut off the engine, coast into your spot, and release the clutch to stop the car and leave the car in gear. Stay off the brake as much as possible. And if you're driving an automatic, and the automatic has a automatic parking brake, turn the automatic parking brake off after you've stopped the car. The reason you want to do that is once you start driving at a reasonable rate on the racetrack, your brakes and rotors are going to get very hot. And the brake pads in the parking brake, if those are squeezed up against the rotors, they have a good chance of warping the rotors. So what you want to do is get in the habit of not using your parking brake at all, because yeah, probably Monday you're not going to be driving fast enough for that to happen. But if you get in the habits now, then when you are driving fast enough for that to happen, you will have already been in a habit to prevent anything bad from happening. Okay, because what we're really doing at this stage in your driving career is building good habits, not building bad habits. Okay. All right. Any questions on that? Okay. The way that we, the people running the event and the corner workers and the race control communicate with you are through flags. Now, at Autobahn, most of the flags are actually LED light boards, but the flags are still the flags. The green flag indicates the track is open and passing is going on. Passing is allowed. Yellow flag means that one, no passing, and two, slow down, be cautious, things could be going on. All right. If the yellow flag is waving, that also means do not pass, but it also means something is going on like right here, like a car spun out around the next corner or right in front of you, could be sitting in the middle of the track. So if you see a waving yellow flag, which on Autobahn, that's a yellow flashing flag. So it's a square, but it's flashing. That means that A, you can't pass, and B, the problem is right in front of you. In PCA events, the first lap is always under yellow. So when you go out, your initial first lap around the track in your session, there's never any passing. And if you pass under yellow, you're going to be what's known as black flagged. You'll be called in. You'll get a talking to. If you pass under yellow more than once, you'll end up having to talk to me, and you'll have to explain to me why I should let you back on the track at all. Okay? So don't do that. If you pass in the corners, you're going to be done for that session because there's no passing in the corners. If you pass in the corners more than once, you're going to be done for the day. So don't do that. If you see a yellow and orange flag, so it's going to be yellow with orange stripes, vertical stripes. What that means is that the track surface has changed. There might be dirt out there. There might be grass, parts of cars, parts of animals. You just don't know. But what they're going to do is they're telling you the track surface has changed. So it could be liquid, could be oil, could be coolant. And normally what they'll do, they're not going to go out and clean it up because there are cars driving around. They're not going to clean it up. What they'll do is they'll leave that sign up for 2 laps, and then they're just going to assume you know that it's that way. Okay? So they're not going to go and clean it up. So if like a cone, because we'll put the cones at the turn-in, apex, and track out points. Those sometimes get hit, get knocked into the track. That's going to be there for the whole session. It's not, nobody's going to run out and get it. So, but you'll get a yellow and orange flag. If there's a red flag, that means something really bad has happened on the track. And it means that you need to stop on the right side nearest the closest manned corner station, line up behind the other cars and just wait. Don't get out of your car, just wait. Emergency vehicles are going to be getting a car that's crashed, making sure the driver is okay. At some point after that, you'll get a black flag on all the stations. What that's going to mean, and the corner workers will direct you. What that means is everybody will exit the track, because then they're going to have to clean up the track probably too. If you're driving and you see a black flag and it has your number in it, your car number in it, that means that you did something wrong. Whether you passed in a no passing zone, you passed without getting a point by, you didn't give a point, or you gave a point by to somebody in the wrong place. Basically, you did something wrong. Exit the track at 17, 18, where I talked about before. Go all the way down to where the starter is and let them talk to you about what you did wrong. They'll probably, your best response to that is, yes, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Because they'll talk, if you try to convince them that you didn't do it, they'll talk to you longer and longer. So you did it and you'll never do it again. If you see a black flag with an orange circle in the middle of it, that means something's wrong with your car. is leaking fluids, has parts falling off of it, something is wrong with it. They're trying to save you money. So exit to the pits, not exit to the starter station, and take a look to see what's wrong with your car. Blue with a yellow slash through it. If you see that, that means there's a car behind you that's faster than you. Just because you're driving a Turbo S doesn't mean there isn't a person in a Miata that's faster than you, because it doesn't take any skill to go fast in a straight line. It takes skill to go fast in the corners. If somebody is behind you that wasn't there before, they're there because they're faster than you. It doesn't matter that everybody on the track drives at a different speed. What that means is when you get to the next passing zone, give them a point by, and we're going to go over how you do that. Let them by and go on your merry way. If you keep ignoring a blue a passing signal from the corner workers, we're going to black flag you, because this is a dance. We have to have all the traffic moving, and we don't want cars lined up behind one person. So if you see it, there's no big deal. Just let somebody by and move on. The checker flag, you'll only see that at the start finish. That means that your session is over. Where you'll see it on the track, this is the front straightaway. That checker flag will be right here. When you come around here, you'll actually see it. It'll be flashing. That doesn't mean you slow down here. You go at normal speed until you pass it. Then you slow down, because somebody behind you may be working on his or her fastest lap, and you slowing down in front of them is not what they're going to expect. They're going to expect you to drive full speed all the way through here. Okay? Now, they may, and it's pretty likely what we will do is, if you get a checker flag, they're not going to have us go all the way around the track and come back out here, but they might. They may have us getting off over here just to keep things moving quicker. If they do that, everybody will basically get an extra lap per session. So we'll see what the operations people want. So in the drivers' meeting, we'll discuss where you'll exit. Okay, let's get there. All right, any questions on the flags? They will be gone over again in the drivers' meeting. All right, seating position. What seating position isn't, oops, sorry about that. Seating position is not laying back with your arms all the way back like you think Formula One drivers sit. Turns out they don't sit that way, and you're not going to sit that way either. If you've ever looked at like the GT3s, the GT3 RSs, the GT4s, the 4RSs, or Cup cars, or any actual proper race car, the seat is like this. It's vertical and it doesn't really move. There's a reason for that. It's because that's the way you're supposed to sit. So the way you should adjust your seating is the seat should be forward enough so that you can push the clutch and the gas all the way to the floor without having your knee fully straightened and locked. There should still be bend in it. Then adjust your seat height so that you can see over the car properly, and adjust the steering wheel at a rake and distance so that when you reach your hand out, the steering wheel drapes over your wrist like that. Then you're going to drive with your hands at 3 and 9, not 2 and 10. That's wrong. 3 and 9. Look at a proper race car. The steering wheels are designed. Your hands are at 3 and 9. Then you adjust. Any questions on the seating? You're gonna be closer to the steering wheel than you probably are used to. That's so that you can manage the car more effectively without having to go like that. Okay, and so your hands don't get crossed over and the like. Also, if your hands are at 2 and 10 and an airbag goes off, your hands are going to get in the airbag and they're going to punch you in the face. So you don't want to do that. Let's see. Okay. So basics. A lot of driving a race car is mental. So first, relax, keep a light grip on the steering wheel. If you have a death grip on it, like you're grabbed as tight as you can, you're not going to be very effective. You should breathe. I mean, you're gonna stop breathing. Trust me, you will. Just pay attention and breathe. If you think everything, if it feels like everything is happening too fast, you're doing it wrong. Most likely you're looking too close to the front of the car. Eyes up. It turns out that 100 miles an hour, that's 150 feet per second. Your brain doesn't do very well processing 150 feet every second of movement. When you're driving on the street, you're not looking, right in front of the car. You're looking way up. There's a tendency on a racetrack to get close because it's kind of new and different. It's a lot easier if you look further up. Everything will feel like it's moving slower. So try doing that when it starts feeling like things are going fast. Also, steering isn't like that. And slamming on the brakes isn't like that. Everything is smooth, deliberate, quick, but not abrupt. Because what is going to happen if you do it abruptly is the weight transfer moves too quick and the car doesn't have time to compensate. And it's not going to end up with the kind of grip that you actually expect. I know there's a tendency for guys to want to go fast in a straight line. Like I said before, that doesn't take any skill whatsoever. What we want you on Monday to do is focus on technique. So we're going to be focused on teaching you what's known as the line, which is the proper way around the racetrack. That takes a lot of skill. And the whole process is trying to take what you're doing and moving it from this part of your head to this part of your head. So from the thinking part to the automatic part. Okay. And the only way to do that is repetition. We're generating muscle memory out there. So give yourself time to learn. This is worse than golf. It's harder than golf. So, and then drive within your abilities. Everybody does this at a different rate. All right. Like I said before, automatic braking must be disabled. If you've got cars that have the ability to turn off traction control, don't do that. Traction control is your friend. If you have cars that have Sport and Sport Plus, at this stage of the game, that is actually not your friend. You're not used to cars shifting at red line. You're not used to having the suspension being super stiff. We want you to learn the line. We don't really, you want to learn that. You want those things left on. I know if I'm going to sit in the right seat with a student, and they turn off the nannies, I turn them back on. If they turn them off again, I get out of the car. So just, you want them on. They're going to help you. Like I said, pedals smooth and deliberate. A squeeze on the brake pedal, not a slam. Rolling on the throttle, not like just jumping on it. If you're getting on the gas and you're chirping the tires, that's a mistake. Steering wheel, always two hands. I don't think there are any turns at Autobahn full track that are that tight that you would need to shuffle. But if you do, that's fine. We don't really care, but just keep two hands. It's like, do you end up going like that or do you shuffle? I personally shuffle, but that's just me. Shifting, the whole track is easily third or fourth gear. Shifting adds a whole nother dimension of challenge to this. If you've got a PDK car, let it shift. It's going to do better than you. Don't worry about paddle shifting. Yeah, it's cool. Don't bother. It's just going to be something else you're going to have to mess with. And then drive your own line. In your run group, most of the people don't have much experience. What that translates to is that their lines are terrible. Following their line will just be you're following their terrible line. So you should focus on driving your own. As you get better and you move up in the, in the run groups and more confidence and you're going faster and the like, you're going to see different people driving different lines anyway, because they just do. And if you follow somebody who's perfected driving a line and you're perfected driving a different line, you have to stick to your line, because if you follow their line, bad things can happen. So start practicing that sooner rather than later. Okay. So some terminology now. First one is brake markers. Like this is going into, it's turn 3 on the north track, but it's the connector into the north track. This will become very familiar with you. It's downhill. These things right here, the 2 and the 1, there's actually a 3 and a 4. Those are brake markers. They don't really mean anything, any specific distance. They just mean this is 2, this is 1. They're trying to give you reference points where to apply brakes. What a reference point is some location that you in your mind are using to say, when I get here, I step on the brake, or when I get here, I turn. It can be the brake markers. It could be like chewed up pavement. It could be skid marks. Don't make it be something like a shadow, because those move, or like, a dandelion, because those things go away. So they should be things that are mostly permanent. So that's what the brake markers are. Those are mostly permanent, but they actually move because they're just stuck in the ground. So they're not exactly always in the exact same spot. So it's my view is it's better to find stuff that's sort of more permanently attached to the track. So now some more terminology, and this is your instructors will be using these. This is a generic turn, generic right-hand turn. The turning point is where you stop going straight and you start turning. The apex is where you cross the innermost part of the track. And the track out point is the place where you're no longer turning. Okay, so at the turn-in point, I transition from going straight to starting to turn. At the apex, I'm at, that's close to the inside corners I'm going to get. And the track out point is when I'm no longer turning. I'm going straight again. And you're going to need reference points kind of for all of those. Now, we're going to help you out on Monday. There's going to be orange cones at the turn-in point, at the apex, and at the track out point to help you. If you decide you want to do this more, we in Porsche Club here in Chicago tend to keep cones out there, but certain events we don't. Like this last weekend, we were at Blackhawk Farms for the weekend for our Oktoberfest. There were no cones out there. And often at Road America, there are no cones. There are certainly no cones for the Labor Day weekend, because there's a club race that weekend and nobody's going to use cones for a club race. And if you drive with other organizations like the Wisconsin BMW Club, they never have cones. So the cones are going to be there to help you identify where to start, but you should identify other landmarks to use. If I decide to be a shit in the afternoon, have them take all the cones away. I can tell you I'm not going to do that, but it could happen. Somebody else could do that. So things to use for reference points: curbs, brake markers, marks on or near the track, pavement patches, bumps and dips in the track, objects in the distance. Like I turn in when the tree back here is like right in my eye. I mean, it's whatever. Okay, so this is an example of a turn-in. One thing about turn-ins, you should be, if it's a right-hand turn, you should be as far to the left without being in the grass as you're comfortable. Like, I'm comfortable being right on the paint, but not everybody's, newer people, they want to be a little bit over. That's okay. But your goal is to inch over until there. Because what you're trying to do from a physics standpoint, you're trying to make the turn as wide as possible. Okay, so that's what the turn-in point looks like. Here's the cone for the apex. I'm right here on the apex curbing. You don't have to be there, but you can see here's the cone, here's where the car is. Okay. This is a Cayenne, by the way. If we do events sometimes with SUVs. And the track out point, here's the cone. At the exit, you're all the way to the outside edge again. So on a right-hand turn, you start at the far left, you get all the way down. Oops. Sorry about that. When you're at the apex, you get all the way down to the curbing. You don't have to be up on it. So if the car was here and there was like a foot or two, that would be bad. You want to get all the way down. You don't have to be on the curbing, but all the way down. And then the track out all the way to the outside. And like I was saying, on a right-hand turn, all the way to the left, all the way down, all the way to the left. On a left-hand turn, all the way to the right, all the way down, all the way to the right. So this is what the full turn actually looks like. Okay. So we're not driving down the middle of the road like we do on the highway. All right. What do we do on each part of the track? On the straights, our foot is all the way to the floor, and we either pass or we are being passed. Unless there's no cars, then we're not going to pass or be passed. But so we're only being passed or passing on the straights, and we're always accelerating. In the brake zones, we're braking firmly, we're not turning, and we look into the turn. We're not like braking and looking at the cone that we're going to try to turn to. We're braking and we're starting to look where we're going to go. Your brain and your hands with cars, they hook up pretty well. You look where you're going, where you look, your hands are going to make the car go there. And then in the turns, you turn the wheel smoothly, so not like that, and use the full width of the track. So like I said, all the way to the left on a right-hand turn, all the way down to the apex and all the way out, and past the apex, you start unwinding the steering wheel. And so from right here, I'm on the gas now from here to here. Okay, I'm not coasting. Now, with physics, because physics is actually controlling all of this, this actually should say radius determines speed, because speed doesn't determine, but speed can determine radius. If you go out there and make this so that it's what's known as a constant radius turn, as big a radius as possible, then there's going to be, based on the car's grip capability, a maximum speed that you can go, and you can go that speed the entire time. In this example, it's 45 miles an hour. But that's as fast as you go. If you accelerate some, the car is going to start sliding, and it's just physics. The problem is that it's not the fastest way around the corner. And it's certainly not typically not the fastest way around the track. Something known as a late apex, where you get more of the turn done in the beginning. So instead of the turn in being here, the turn in is further down. I have to go slower because the initial turn is a sharper turn. Does that make sense? And I end up crossing the inner part of the corner further from the center. That's why it's a late apex. But what happens is by the time I get here, now I have less of the turn to do, and I can be on the throttle more because the radius of the remaining part of the turn is bigger, so I can go faster. And it means when I'm done the turn, I can be going faster. Now, typically after a turn is a straightaway. I can now take this extra 10 miles an hour and take it all the way down that straightaway. Okay, that causes a lower lap time. So the increasing radius allows earlier acceleration, higher acceleration, faster at the track out. The other thing is it's safer because if I turn in too late, I'm going to end up being here. I'm not going to run out of track. And I've got plenty of ability to just slow down. Too late is always much better than too early. And from a self-correction, because you're going to have to learn to self-correct. Otherwise, you're not going to get, you're always going to have an instructor. That's part of the transition from driving, with an instructor to driving without an instructor is the ability to identify when you make mistakes and how to correct them, because everybody makes mistakes. If you turn too late, you're going to end up being here and you're going to know that. If you turn too early, you're going to be out here. So this is an early apex. What happens is I turn in earlier. I'm going to be turning in faster. I can't get all the way around. So what's happening is I'm getting less of the turn done at the beginning, more of the turn done in the end, which means I'm going to have to slow down after the apex, which means typically I'm going to have a lower exit speed. The other problem with this is if I turn in too early, I can't get around the turn. I run out of road, and this is what happens. I go off. Okay. Unfortunately, turning in early is a really typical behavior of a new driver, because you're coming down the straightaway going, I need to turn, I need to turn, I need to turn, I need to turn, because, oh my God, I'm running out of track. And so you turn in early and then, well, you do run out of track. So that's why the cones are there, is to try to help you know where to turn. Okay. Any questions on the early and late apex thing? I believe all the turns down there are late apex. When in doubt, late apex, you'll always be okay. Okay. Understeer. That's like if you've ever taken a car out in a parking lot in the snow here in Chicago and drive around and, try to turn and the car keeps going straight. That's understeer. So when you turn the wheel, the car keeps going straight. Why does that happen? Because you don't have enough weight on the front to get enough grip to be able to turn, or you just don't have enough grip on the track. It's going to be weight, or you're just going too fast for conditions. The best thing to do is slow to proper speed, or reduce the throttle to transfer weight forward, or ease the brake to allow more grip to be used for turning, because there's only so much grip that the tires are going to be able to do. And if you're trying to turn sharp and brake at the same time, you're asking your tires to do too much and they're going to slide. So you're going to have to let off doing something. Oversteer is when you turn and the front pivots more and the back end comes around. This is why we want you to keep your traction control on, because traction control, certainly in Porsches, are very good at preventing this from happening. Facing traffic is not a good thing. So anyway, they're caused by excessive throttle, something called trailing throttle oversteer, which is basically dropping the throttle and going into a turn just like abruptly off, so all the weight goes onto the front, the car spins. Improper trail braking, we're not going to do that. So basically, you're going to finish your braking before you turn, and a mismatched downshift. So if you downshift the gear too far, too much weight's going to go in the front, it's going to turn around. All right. Something you can think about, because your hands and your feet have to play in synchronicity. So if you think when you're going straight and your foot is all the way to the floor, the pedals all the way down. If you think there's a string, imagine a string tied to your toe and tied to the bottom of the steering wheel. If you're going to turn, you have to pick up your foot. If you're going to push your foot, you're going to have to straighten the wheel. Okay? They are connected. Physics will require that. Okay, some safety stuff. None of you have older cars that don't have stability control, I assume. They're all newer. I don't think there are any older cars in this event. So they all have, whether they're Porsches or not, they've got some sort of stability management. How that actually works is the rear brakes are being applied outside of your control. What that means is that your brakes are being used a lot more than you think they are. So if you're driving and when you put on the brakes, it feels not as firm as it did the last time you did, or the car doesn't seem to be slowing as much, do two things. One, it may be that your brakes are getting a little hotter than your brake fluid is ready to deal with. And the second thing is tell your instructor. Our tech sheets say that you should have I think DOT4 fluid in. I personally like to have something like 600 degree boil or higher in mine, but I drive that. The better, the higher, the better. Watch your gauges. Not all the time, but on a straightaway, just glance at them. Water temperature, oil pressure, make sure there aren't any red lights, and pay attention to the gas gauge. It is kind of embarrassing to run out of gas on a racetrack. I have seen it happen more than 5 times. It just happens. You will burn more gas than you expect. Also, check your mirrors. Oh, and yeah, don't pay attention to your speedometer. That's why, like Porsches, they have the tach in the middle. They don't have the speedometers off to the side because the tach is more important than the speedometer. We don't really care about the speed. Check your mirrors. Make a habit of glancing at them, periodically. Again, because somebody might come up behind you, and if they, like the last time you looked, there was nobody there. The next time you looked, they're like 5 feet away. They're faster than you. Let them by. Just kind of move on. And then this is shockingly more physical than people understand. If you're tired, come in early. It's okay. Don't push yourself to keep driving if you feel tired or if you feel, dehydrated. There's going to be another session. Tired people make mistakes. You don't want to make, a catastrophic mistake. Okay. We're not drifting. If we figure out that you're doing that, we're going to black flag you and stop you from doing it. Don't stop on the track unless you see a red flag. If for some reason something is truly wrong with your car, pull off onto the grass, stay in your car. They'll come and get you. Be aware of your surroundings. Stuff is changing all the time. If you happen to be a faster driver and you come up on somebody, don't ride their bumper. It's not going to make them let you by, because if it freaks them out and they slam on the brakes, now you're going to be in their back seat and nobody's going to like that. So just be courteous to faster drivers behind you. Be courteous to slower drivers in front of you. This is a gentleman's sport. We have to play nice. Always keep all 4 tires on the track. If you go off, it happens. Come in, let us check out your car. You're going to get black flagged if you do go off. We want to make sure that everything looks okay, that you're okay, that everything's fine. And then contrary to what you've told everybody, we're not racing on Monday. It's a driver's ed. There are no trophies. There is no first place. Everybody wins. So passing is all, and I think that's the next thing anyway. Yes, passing is all directed and coordinated. So One, passing is only on the straights. We'll go over this again, but basically it's all the main straightaways. Be predictable. What that means is don't give somebody a point by, then race them. And if you're given a point by, pass offline, and we'll explain what that is in a second. So if you're going to be letting somebody by you, because you're the one who's going to be taking most of the action, you stay online. Point to where you want them to go. So if you want somebody to point, if you want them to pass you on your right, you stick your hand out of the car over the top and go like that. It's not like this. It's like that over the top of the car. If you want them to pass on the left, you stick your hand out and point. Okay. If you're the one who's going to do the passing, if you don't see one of those, don't do it, because we want to make sure that the two cars understand what's going to happen and what's going to happen, what side, where it's going to occur. Because if everybody knows what's going to happen, then the chance of car-to-car contact goes way, way down. Okay? So if you're going to be passed, let's say that you're coming around this turn here and somebody's behind you and you're going to let them pass, finish this turn going through here your normal speed, then give them the point by, don't race them, just give a little lift so that then they can get past you and on your merry way. Passes also should be done before the brake markers. We don't want people passing coming into the corners. There's too much going on there. So what does offline mean? Generally, if the next turn goes to the left, offline means passing on the left. If the next turn goes to the right, that means offline passing is on the right side. It's really pretty simple. If you're coming up to a turn and you're going to let somebody pass, you stay on the line, which, remember at the beginning, I said if you're going to turn left, you're going to stay to the right. If you're going to go to the right, you're going to stay to the left. You're going to stay there. The passing person is the one who's going to go offline. Okay? So these are examples of point buys. This one, this person, you can see their hand is up and over. They're saying, pass me on the right. This one, this person is saying, pass me on the left. They're very unambiguous. This is ambiguous. This person is saying, pass me on the right. This person is saying, pass me on the left. What really happened is I stayed behind them until this guy figured out what was going on and got over and then went past both of them. And I got point buys by both of them. If this situation happens to you, don't pass anybody, because we don't want you to pass this guy then, weaving in between cars. That's a mistake. Okay. So here's a passing example down there. So there's the hand. They stay on line. We go around, and here we go. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. We go around at speed. Now we're on the straight. The hand comes out. We go by. Also notice, I was never really on their tail. They could tell that I came up on them pretty quick and that I was going to go past them pretty quick. That's what we want. It's not always going to work that way, but in general, that's what we want. Okay. If you go off the track, as it happens, go off straight. One thing that you don't want to do, let's say that you're here and you drop a wheel over onto the grass. You don't want to try to turn back onto the track while you're going at any sort of speed, because what's going to happen is the second this outside wheel hits the track, you're going to oversteer and you're going to shoot across, and in this particular example, you're going to hit this wall over here. The right thing to do is to stay straight, get off the gas, slow down slowly, over onto the grass, stop, and wait for somebody to tell you to get back on. Okay? If you try to correct, you're almost for sure going to mess it up, and then you're going to hit something. So if you go off all the way, get the car stopped, make sure you check your mirrors, don't get out of the car. Make sure you and your instructor are fine. If the car is fine too, wait for a corner worker to point you back on the track, because they can see, they know, they're in radio contact with others. They'll know when there aren't any cars coming from around any corners. Then you can come back on. They'll signal you to go back on the track, go back, get off at the hot pit, go into to the starter. They'll make sure your car looks okay, and then more than likely, if everything's fine, they'll just send you back on your way. Okay. If you hit something, make sure you and your instructor are fine. If there are any injuries, wave your arms to get corner workers' attention. If you hit something, by the time you stop, the emergency vehicles will already be on the way, but they still need to know that yes, you're okay, or no, you're not okay. Shut off the car if it's still running. Don't get out of the car unless it's on fire. The reason we don't want you to get out of the car is because, for whatever reason, if one car goes off, another car likes to go off too. And if you're out of the car, it's a lot less safe than if you're in the car. Stay belted in, wait for safety crews to arrive. Obviously, if your car's on fire, get out of it. Okay. There's more information on our website. The Autobahn handbook, which I think is attached to your confirmations anyway. There's an article called Selecting the Right Safety Equipment. Some people get it in their head they need, like I said earlier in the evening, a $2,000 driving suit. You don't. There's a progression of safety equipment that you might want to consider for Monday. Showing up, like I said, long sleeve, cotton kind of shirt, jeans, sneakers, and then rent a helmet. You're completely fine. Don't need anything else. And then if you really want to study, we have something on our website called Road Course Techniques, but they're books by like Ross Bentley and others that you can read. Okay, so here's an example. This is a moderately fast, not fast, moderately fast lap around the full track at Autobahn. You can see the cones are here. This is cone. This is the way the track will be coned. Okay. So that's what you're going to be in for on Monday. As you can see, it's a pretty long track. Takes a little while to get around it. This is the schedule. You'll be getting a copy of this, like I said, either tomorrow or Friday. You're going to be in group 4. I believe you're all green. So the mandatory drivers, well, registration starts at 6:45 in the morning. I would get there by 7 o'clock. There's a mandatory, the driver's meeting is at 8:30. Like I said, you've got to be there. We have ways of knowing. Then from 9:10 until 9:35, there's a thing called a touring session. That's going to be no helmets, driving sort of moderate speeds, like 50, 60 miles an hour tops, around the track, everybody. It's an opportunity to drive for 25 minutes to get a chance to learn the track while you're not going fast or not trying to go fast. My suggestion, and your instructors will suggest the same thing, is to have your instructor drive a couple of laps with you sitting in the passenger seat, just to learn where get a chance to see the track. Because yeah, you can watch videos all day long. It's still not the same. Then pull off, then you get in and you drive for the remaining part of the session. And the advantage of that is, one, you get to see how you get on and off the track with someone else doing it. Then you get to get on and off the track yourself. And anyway, do that. Bring your helmets though, because you're going to get right back on the track 10 minutes later. So you're going to get off the track. We got to make the track go cold. You and your instructor will get your helmets on and belted in and all that stuff, then go back out. And then you're going to go around for your first real session. Then you're going to be in the classroom for 45 minutes. We're going to continue what we were talking about this evening. Then you're going to be back on after you get a 15-minute break after the end of the class to go to the bathroom and whatever, get ready. Then you're on the track, you get a break, then you're on the track again. These morning sessions are 25 minutes. Then we have an hour lunch that's required down at Autobahn. Then you'll be back on the track right after lunch. Then you back in the classroom, where we're going to mostly talk about turns that are giving you problems. Then you're back on the track. And so that's the way this is. So you'll be out on the track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on Monday. 4 times at speed, and then you'll be in the classroom twice. Okay? Now, I've already got homework for you to think about. So, and like I said, I'm going to print out, generate these slides as PDFs so you can skip to the end of this. For the touring session, the goals that you should have is learn how to get on and off the track, learn where the track goes, and begin to learn the racing line, and identify the corner worker stations, the curbing and the markers, because the corner worker stations are the people where the flags are and communicate with you. You need to know where those things are. And then in session 1, that's the first time out, quote, at speed. Learn how to grid with your helmet instructor in advance of your session, so that you two are going to develop your rhythm for, okay, we meet, we get our helmets in before we get on the track. Then you'll get used to driving faster, pass someone and let someone pass you. Even if you think you're the fastest person out there, let someone pass you, because trust me, there's always somebody faster than you, and you need to practice it. and then relax your hands and check your gauges on the front straightaway. So fairly straightforward stuff. And then on the first classroom, I'll give you goals for your next 2 sessions after that. Any questions?